Hello, and a warm welcome to the program. I'm Melinda Akinlami. Our focus is on the Northwest today, but first, our top stories. We begin outside our shores, where at least 558 people have been killed and 1,835 others injured in southern Lebanon. That's according to its health ministry. The last 24 hours has been a heated and brutal one for many, as the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, has now shifted its operation to the capital, Beirut. Thousands of Lebanese civilians are still fleeing their homes as the IDF continues its airstrike on Hezbollah forces in the country. The airstrike has been seen as one of the deadliest days of cross-border attack between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon since 2006. While Hezbollah's response remains strangely muted. Schools have been shut in Lebanon and flights cancelled in and out of the region. And back home, in a surprise move, Nigeria's Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has again raised the monetary policy rate, MPR, which measures interest rates, by 50 basis points from 26.75 to 27.25%. The latest hike, which comes despite the 2 consecutive month decline in the country's inflation, marks the 5th increase in the benchmark lending rate. The CBN Governor, Olayemi Cardoso, who made the announcement at the end of the Monetary Policy Committee's 297th meeting today in Abuja, also mentioned that 11 out of the 12 members of the MPC unanimously voted to retain the asymmetric corridor around the MPR at plus 500 to minus 100 basis points, or raise the cash reserve ratio, that's the CRR, for banks by 500 basis points to 50% from 45%, and hike the CRR from merchant banks by 200 basis points to 16% from 14%. At the same time, the CBN MPC retained the liquidity ratio at 30%. Before now, economists and financial market experts had expected that the CBN MPC would keep the MPR and other parameters unchanged, citing the recent decline in the country's inflation, which has lowered from a 28-year high of 34% recorded in May this year to 32.15%, which is currently stands. A notorious bandit commander, Kachala Shame, and other members of his gang have been killed in a clash with a rival bandit group in Kachala local government area of Kaduna State. According to a statement by the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Aruwan, the notorious bandit who had killed, kidnapped, and hundreds of people and rustled many cattle met his Waterloo in a battle between his group and an opposing gang over the weekend. 2 other bandits from a rival group were killed in the fierce gun duel, which enabled some victims escape from captivity. Intelligence reports revealed that 5 bandits were injured in the clash and are presently lurking around the area seeking medical assistance to manage their wounds. It disclosed that Mr. Shame had several times escaped the crosshairs of security forces by mere whiskers and remained hotly sought after before he was gunned down by fellow terrorists. The statement warned residents not to render any assistance to suspicious people seeking treatment for gunshot wounds and to contact the nearest security forces or reach the Kaduna State Security Operations Room on its hotline. Still in Kaduna State, the resumption of a new academic calendar in primary and secondary schools has witnessed a low turnout of students, with perpetrators of private university or private schools and parents blaming the situation on the harsh economy caused by the hike in the price of petrol and tuition fees. Many parents, especially the low-income earners, are complaining as they battle with school fees, transportation costs, and other basic necessities of life without enough income, which have put pressure on household budgets.
This week marked the resumption of the 2024-2025 academic year for primary and secondary schools in Kaduna State, but most students have not yet returned to classes.
And when we talk about resumption in economics, we are not talking about what...
Normally, the start of a new term brings excitement for students and teachers, but this time the situation is different, with many students still absent.
Children supposed to be in the school. They're supposed to resume 17th of September. There is no money for those, and you know this is a new class, registration and all the rest. There is no money for transport. There is no money for registration, talk less of snacks that children will eat. Transport is high. And it's making the children, even the children are not happy to start home. For them to start home is a problem to me. Because any biscuit, granola to that pass, mommy this, mommy that. So it is not easy.
They have increased everything. The motor transportation is another thing that eating up parents' money. Like my grandchildren, they are schooling at Gwari Avenue. From here, they go there every day. Before they used 1,000, but now they use 2,500 per one. So if not that, there's small help from around. One of them is here now because of the cost of school fees and transportation. That's what we are suffering now.
Reports indicate that several schools have increased tuition and transportation fees, and some have even suspended their bus service. This has forced parents to transfer their children to more affordable and closer schools to cope with the rising costs. In Kaduna, which has over 4,000 private schools, the recent hike in petrol prices has made transportation difficult for many students, leaving them no choice but to walk long distances to school. Parents like Mrs. Judith Kaduri are struggling to manage the rising tuition and transport costs, which they describe as unbearable.
It's because of the hike of the price of the petrol. That's why everything is the way it is. Common man, and to eat is not easy. Some people are withdrawing their children from the school because they cannot afford the school fees. Even transportation is not easy. A lot of people are withdrawing their children from the school. Even the school, they are suffering.
School proprietors are also feeling the strain as the number of students has dropped, affecting their operations. Dr. Vincent Ogini, a private school proprietor, shared his frustration over the economic challenges, noting that despite financial pressures, he chose not to increase tuition fees, unlike other schools.
We know that some students will not be able to resume because of the economic situation, but we thank God that we are here. Our service will continue to run because it's a social service, and no matter whatever is happening, we'll always be found in the classrooms so that we'll have a better tomorrow.
As the economic situation continues to burden both parents and school proprietors, many families are forced to delay sending their children back to school until they can afford rising costs. This growing challenge not only affects education, but also threatens the overall well-being and future prospects of students in Kaduna State.
Staying with education, the Kano state government is tackling the issue of infrastructure in schools by providing 50,000 desks across the state. Governor Abba Yusuf, who flagged off the distribution exercise, says the gesture is aimed at restoring confidence in the children. Our correspondent, Sadiq Ilyasu, has this report.
The era of pupils learning on bare floors in Kano State is coming to an end as the state government begins the distribution of over 50,000 desks to schools across the state. Pupils, teachers, and government officials gathered in the state capital to witness the flag-off of the distribution.
It is also important to call upon the parent-teachers associations, the SBMC, school-based management committees, to please play a vital role in maintaining the furniture we are providing today towards ensuring its effective utilization. Your partnership is critical.
Years of neglect have led to the Kano state government to declare a state of emergency on education 4 months ago.
Today, Your Excellency has begun to write a new history in the education sector of Kano State. I am happy that you are here, and I'm happy that you are doing all this thing. I sincerely extend my gratitude to His Excellency for this humane and rare support to the Ministry of Education, and we appreciate you and we offer you our total support and commitment.
For the governor, restoring confidence in the minds of the pupils is vital for their success in learning.
Let me equally say that this initiative is not merely about providing furniture. It is about restoring confidence and hope in the hearts of our children. A desk might seem like a simple object, but for a child, it is a tool for transformation. It symbolizes the space where knowledge is gained.
The governor inspects the chairs after flagging off the distribution. The distribution is considered a significant step towards improving the learning conditions in Kano State. Sadiq Ilyasu, Channels Television News.
The Kebbi State government has announced that it has finalized plans and deployed necessary machinery to prevent the impending flood in the state. The Deputy Governor, Senator Umar Fatida, made this known during a visit to some flood-affected areas and camps where displaced victims are currently camped. He stated that the government has ordered the closure of the Makera to Birinkebi Road due to the dangers posed by its fragile condition.
These incidents are, increasing by the day. Today, if we count 1, 2, 3 places, again by tomorrow morning, because of rainy season is still on, it's still raining, and the flood waters are also moving from one direction to the other. But another, some few villages again will also, be affected, and we are also trying to ensure that some places are being moved before from where we are anticipating that things that are going to happen. We are trying we are moving those people to a safer places just for the safety and security of our people. The items, the places are, like I said, are becoming too many, and the number of bridges, some culverts are also collapsing, being collapsed here and there. So all these, and that's why the committee is going around to ensure that we have first-hand assessment, and a subcommittee like I'm here together with the commissioner of works and pharmacy and some engineers, that and some commissioners and chairmen of various local governments, to ensure that we have a proper assessment of places that are affected.
Coming up on the program, we look at plans by the Zamfara state government to boost agriculture. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. At the 2024 downscaling of flood early warning systems and recovery strategy meeting in Birinkebi, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has raised an alarm over the severe consequences of this year's flooding, which has affected over 1.6 million people. The NEMA Director General, Mrs. Zubedia Umar, says at least 175,000 farmlands have also been submerged and calls for more collective action to curb further disaster.
This high-level meeting of traditional and religious leaders, local government officials and state flood management agencies is organized to brainstorm on how to mitigate the effects of flooding in parts of the country.
From the National Emergency,
the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is represented by the Director of Disaster and Risk Reduction at this meeting. Although flooding has already wreaked havoc in some states in northern Nigeria, NEMA is also identifying other local government areas in the state as flashpoints for flooding in October and November of this year.
To safeguard our assets and cultural heritage against the impact of this year's flood, the National Emergency Management Agency designed this downscaling exercise to integrate direct risk communication, which we are doing now.
The Kebbi State Deputy Governor also aligns efforts of the state government to mitigate the impact of flooding in the state.
Kebbi State government is committed to collaborating with NEMA to ensure effective flood management and disaster risk reduction. Our State Emergency Management Agency and local authorities that will facilitate your assessment and provide necessary support.
Beyond identifying those flood-prone areas, the agency is taking a step further to respond to the pending threat.
NEMA has a plan. Very soon we will roll it out so that all over the country there is going to be a program of grassroots emergency volunteer corps where people in various local government will be trained on ways to as first responders.
Flooding has become a recurrent annual natural disaster in many states, and the consensus at the meeting is that all hands must be on deck to address the causes and impact of flooding on the citizens.
Over 1,400 vulnerable widows and orphans from Sokoto State have benefited from an intervention that seeks to mitigate the impact of HIV and other diseases. The intervention is provided under the USAID-funded Integrated Child Health and Social Services Award project, covering health insurance, cash transfer, and distribution of vocational skills startup kits.
The health insurance we provide today ensures that children have access to critical healthcare services they need without putting a strain on their caregivers and other members of the family. It gives them the opportunity to grow up healthy and strong, able to pursue their dreams without the fear of medical emergencies. The vocational skills equipment, including 128 grinding machines, 176 fish ovens and catering tools, 42 sewing machines, 4 hairdressing and barbing kits, and 3 shoemaking kits, represents an investment in the economic future of caregivers and their adolescents. These tools will empower them to establish or expand small businesses, generating sustainable incomes that will not only support their families, but also contribute to the local economy.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Women and Children Affairs, Sokoto State, is collaborating with donor agencies to provide support for over 1,000 people. The program is also running in Zamfara, Kebbi, Bauchi, Taraba, and Adamawa states, where vulnerable persons are being supported to curb the impact of HIV.
This collaboration has been vital in advancing our shared goals of HIV epidemic control, ensuring uninterrupted access to care and support service for the vulnerable population across all the 23 local government areas of Sokoto State.
About 10,000 households have been displaced, while farmlands and other properties worth millions of naira destroyed by flood in Gumi local government area of Zamfara State. The flood caused significant damage to agriculture and livelihood in the area. The impact is severe as many residents rely on farming as their primary source of income. To assist them, Governor Dauda Lawal has flagged off the distribution of 135 trucks of fertilizer to farmers across 14 local government areas. 81,000 bags of assorted fertilizers are to be distributed to 40,500 farmers. Governor Lawal reiterated his administration's commitment to accelerate agricultural production in Zamfara State by assisting farmers in boosting their production. The Zamfara State Commissioner for Agriculture, Haruna Yaud, joins us from Gusau, the state capital, to explain the government's plan and support to affected farmers as well as food sufficiency in the state. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yaud Haruna, Commissioner for Agriculture in Zamfara State.
Yes,
thank you very much for...
yes, Mr. Haruna.
When the incident happened to the affected people of Gumbi local government, over 10,291 people was affected. Zamfara State immediately sent the delegation led by the Commissioner for Religion Affairs. Which the Commissioner of Religion Affairs come from the Gumbi local government to go and identify the how many number of the houses will be affected. And then after 3 days ago, the State Governor, His Excellency Dr. Lawal, was joining us to go in to Gumi local government to give them support for emergency support with 10,000 bags of rice and also 100 million naira for them for emergency because. And then secondly, His Excellency agreed and approved the allocation of the land so that we migrated the people from where they are, they relocated to another place so that for us to control another this incident happening next time. And also in agricultural aspect, the state government was supplying some number of associated fertilizer, seeds, and agricultural assets. We want to provide it for them so that we give them with free of charge, which is for them to go back to the farm and cultivate their land where the big incident happened. I think with this, Zamfara State, we have already supplied over 70 trucks of fertilizer between NPK 2010 and urea, and also rice seed, maize seed, and the cassava seed. We are just waiting for our people. We are sending their inspection workers to go in there and identify how many hectares of the land was affected so that we should go and give them that agricultural input free of charge.
So, Mr. Yao, what plans does your ministry have to mitigate the kind of damage we've seen when flood occurs, especially, and protect the farmlands from being destroyed by the heavy rainfall, which is becoming a recurring challenge in Zamfara State?
Yes, I think Zamfara State, we are agricultural state. That is why our motto is farming is our pride. We have 115 macro and micro dams in Zamfara. And then one of the largest irrigation schemes that we have, not in northern Nigeria or Zamfara State, in the Africa, is baccalaureate irrigation scheme. That baccalaureate irrigation scheme will have a 23,000 hectares, which will cover only 3 local government area of our state. And then the remaining 114 macro and micro dams already last budget, or this budget of 2024, His Excellency Jawabuki proper rehabilitation of the dam, and also we joined hands together and we collaborated with the State Ministry for Environment to control erosion in across the local government area. I think we are working on it. We will make sure that this thing was not happening again by next week.
So how is the state government tackling the impact of banditry on agriculture, especially in areas where farmers are unable to access their lands due to insecurity?
Of course, Zamfara State, we are in insecurity issues. We compare the land cultivated in 2022 and 2023. This year we cultivate more than that, because in 2022 our cultivated land is 2,862,000 hectares, 481 hectares in Zamfara State. Where in 2024, this year, we cultivated more than 3.1 million hectares. And I think the world seeing that Zamfara State government was implement community protection that community protection that we are carefully selected from the community, which is there are people that are working under their community. And then during when we started, our community protection that are starting going around, go from, so that for them to protect our farmers, so that our farmers can go to the farm and doing their cultivation or farming well. And with this effort, I think the first batch of community protection that even now the State are starting a preparation to additional employing 3,000 personnel of community protection that for our people, for us to be benefit, for our farmers benefit. That is why the community protection that we selected them from their local area. So with this, we are very initiative. I think we are very happy with this very great achievement, because we have cultivated more than 2022 to 2023. We cultivate more and more, and we get very high yield in the forest now.
Okay. Mr. Haruna Oyao, the Zamfara State Commissioner for Agriculture, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much.
A one-day symposium on peace building has been concluded in Kaduna State, with stakeholders asking security agencies to rededicate themselves to restore peace and security in the state. According to the group, the community must also appreciate efforts of security agencies and whatever result is achieved by them in order to motivate them. The symposium was organized by the Kaduna State chapter of the National Youth Council of Nigeria to enlighten young people on the need to contribute their quota towards curtailing the menace of insecurity in the state. That's the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinlami.